All right, I want to first start off by saying that I look yucky hat because we just went to St. Pete and rode
Ethan,
3 miles,
babe,
so I'm pretty
vaquero de paso, lo vaquero.
We heard that.
I'm sorry, I have my 2 kids here.
So anyway, yes, this morning I was on the call too, and so I looked all nice, but you know,
this is just about content. Don't worry about what we look like. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a life and leadership coach, and so I deal with life and I deal with communication. But the main thing I do is I help people grow in their faith, grow in their personal development, and leadership. So faith, growth, and lead. And I'm John Maxwell certified too. So what I need from you all is anything that you can do to help me, I guess, get more out there. I am actually working on my social media, adding a couple more things to my website. And I haven't been much on LinkedIn. It is all set. I had someone professionally look at it. It's all set, but I need to get going. So this is what my one question is. I deal with the whole communication, you know, how to communicate better with other people. And so you could use the same techniques as you do in life and as you do in the business, understanding people's personality. My husband and I are totally opposite. He is task-oriented. I'm relationship-oriented. And so, you know, is it confusing to do both? Like have some emails on marriages and how to communicate with employees and your boss at work? That would be my first question to ask you guys.
Well, here's the deal. I've had people get different advice, but in this day and nature, like some people have said on your branding, you know, pick a lane, right? But in this day and, you know, we know if you pick your themes and you're clear on your themes and you stay in those themes. And so like with me for my business, I have it in my mind, GLOWS, GLOWS, growth, leadership, outcomes, workplace systems. But I had to be clear myself. I had to come up with a little acronym myself so that I could do it. And obviously, workplace is all about culture, which is all about communication, which is all about relationships. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So with you, get your theme straight. I don't know if you remember a talk John gave a long time ago where he was talking about his lanes. He did relationships, leadership. Let's see. I think he picked 5 areas that he continued to write his books in.
Right.
You know, he's got constantly different themes. So now I think yours are probably going to be about the same.
Yeah, because mine is all about faith, because, you know, how do you grow a relationship and communication with God? And then yourself, you're communicating with yourself, how you understand yourself. Because if you don't understand yourself, how are you going to lead other people? So it's all faith, growth, and you can take that in personal growth, and leadership development. So it's all about communication, grow, and lead. So.
You said you had LinkedIn. Are you a LinkedIn Pro Finder?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay, so write that down. LinkedIn Pro, P-R-O,
we're taping
Finder.
It. You're okay.
F-I-N-D-E-R. And I have been getting coaching clients from that. You pay $60 a month. You write down what your talent is. And then those executives within LinkedIn who are looking for a coach or help. And that way you're more proactive because it's a completely different resume that you will put up. You write down proposals. So every morning I wake up and there's probably anywhere from 2 to 6 people asking for proposals for coaching. So since you said you already pumped up your LinkedIn, I would say you need to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I paid a course or paid a membership, whatever, this lady to look at it, and she makes millions off of LinkedIn. So I had her take
Is that Carolyn Quinlan?
Nope.
Okay, so there's a lady that will probably help you for free because she'll probably try to get you into the National Speakers Association.
Right.
and she's an expert with LinkedIn. Carolyn Quinlan, she's on my Facebook.
Quillen. I mean,
Yeah.
Quinn.
Quinn, Quinln. She's the president of NSA. Cheryl used to be the president. This is the one. Cheryl, did she take over after you?
Oh, no, she came a long time after me.
Yeah, a long time after. But she's the current NSA president, and she's a sweetheart. I'm going to tell you what, but I think she's getting ready to roll off of that. I don't know. But anyway.
Okay, so her last name is Quinl.
I'll show you. Yeah, I'll send it from my Facebook. I'll introduce you to.
Okay, cool. All right.
Okay, but yeah, you got to come up with your pillars. And
Well, I mean, my pillars are, I mean, this is what I've been doing for so many years is communication about understanding yourself, communication under God, and it's the whole personal development. So if I had to pick more is what he does, relationship, communication, personal development, leadership.
And I would tell you that as soon as businesses are up and running, you should be doing lunch and learns, because if you do lunch and learns, even if they're free, when I do my meetup here, we've done how to turn a free talk into a paid talk.
Yeah.
So it's all about taking those pillars and having them see where their growth is not, and then to follow up with you to extend that pillar, if you will.
And
so,
I've done luncheons, definitely done luncheons.
It's much better it's much better for you to be speaking to 25 to 100 people, getting exposed that way, than doing one-on-one.
I'd like to give everybody an assignment in your own business, if you would. Millie, can you hear what's happening here? She's
on mute.
Okay. So do you remember the very first time we met? Cheryl and I did the class, and Cheryl did the business wheel. Mm-hmm. We picked topics on that wheel and did an analysis, what we call a needs assessment, so that we could identify what content and what curriculum, so to speak, we were going to begin teaching in the business network. Okay. So if you guys in your own business, Mark, this would be you, Javier in your HR, Mark in your real estate, each one of us, come up with your own wheel. Okay. And let's pretend that you're going to do a lunch and learn. And anybody can pick a topic. And in that lunch and learn, you're going to have them do an assessment and rate themselves in these categories. So for me, I might say, where are you with vision and knowing what direction you're going to go? So that would be my growth, GLOWS. How is your leadership team? Rate your plan. Do you have a plan for developing your leaders within the organization? And how would you rate that? Cheryl, on your wheel, how many spokes did we have?
We had 5. I only do 5. I always only do 5.
5. Okay.
And they score themselves from 0 to 10, with 10
Why don't you take over this part of the conversation? How many within that part, the rating on there, on your diagram? See, I always do mine with stars because I'm trying to get my brand off. 5 stars, or give yourself a star. But you were doing it on a wheel, and I think that will be good transition for everybody. How many points, how many steps did you have in the?
It's 0 to 10. And what they do is after you I can do a lunch and learn in 25 to 30 minutes. So with 5 spokes, you get 5 minutes. So if I'm going to talk about team building, for example, I would say, how do you build a team? Do you have assessments available? Are you constantly recruiting? How do your team communicate? Are you open to listening to your team? Are you putting a square in a job that requires them to be a circle? And then as I'm doing it, then I would say, now you're going to rate yourself on a scale from 0 to 10. But before you do, that's the secret. Before you do, let me tell you what a perfect 10 is. Because people will say, oh, I'm great in that. And, they're always great. They don't need to hear. So then you have to tell them what a perfect 10 is. For example, if one of the things is on attitude. Oh, a perfect 10 wakes up in the morning singing. That doesn't matter if it's raining outside. They get in the car and they put their coffee between their legs and somebody stops in front of them and the coffee spills and they go, oh, that feels nice.
Well, that's not me.
Yeah. So how do you rate on a scale from 0 to 10? Now they have something to compare themselves to, and they're not going to give themselves a 10.
Yeah. So I
So
think
you give them you give them the best of the best in leadership. Communication is always on that spoke, because it doesn't matter if there's 5 people in the company or 5,000, that's always a problem. And usually sales is always one that's on that wheel. But for Laura, you would have faith, and you would have, the other
I put,
topics. Yeah.
I put DISC and then communication. I put personal growth, leadership development, and I don't know if I should say relationship or faith, but anyway.
no, you
So,
would put your disc is not going to be in the middle. Your disc.
well, I mean, what I'm saying is when it talks about, well, I was thinking about, because I could do DISC in all these different areas, but anyway, so.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
this
I'm trying
is
to put
your
it all
rating.
together.
This is your rating. You're going in and you're using this as a quick assessment.
Right.
So that's why you would put, how are you with your personalities? How are you in dealing with people of different personalities?
Right.
Now, to you, that means disc.
Well, that's
Right.
a disc rating, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so for you, Mark, team is going to be one of yours, because
Mhm.
you're basically trying to say, I'm building a team. Do you want to be part of this team? So that's going to be one of yours.
Right.
You know,
That's
what are
Especially-
you,
Yeah, especially in real estate, because when I was in real estate before I started my business, and I also taught real estate courses. And what the biggest problem with realtors is they're self-independent, so they think they don't have to show up for work. So
Sure.
when you're talking about building a team for a real estate office, who's self-motivated?
Exactly.
here
And that's
because
agent
they-
attraction.
Yes.
Attraction. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, back to Laura. So now that we've all applied this to our thing, as we're masterminding Laura's business, that would be the lunch and learns, the breakfast and learns, keeping in touch with the trends. The trends are changing because of COVID-19, and that's why we have to stay in touch with one another and try to continue to, help one another as we're forming our businesses and growing our businesses. I would think Laura's already got your network with the JMT. However, one of the things that I've been encouraging her from the beginning is to really take flight in her own brand.
Yes.
Instead of only sticking with that, because I've already learned, and if you talk to anybody who has been under a coaching company, whatever company you've been affiliated with, JMT was great as far as showing us the model and the fact that we are certified to use any of that content that we want to. But the business, we're only developing the John Maxwell team. We're only showing them. You have to constantly, you need to be life coach Laura White and really get that branding. So what suggestions, if I were to look at you for your branding, tell me, who is life coach Laura White in your branding? What am I seeing there?
Personal development, leadership development. I mean, personal growth, leadership development. That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, but Lisa's right. That what you just said is blah 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 blah. What makes you uniquely different from anybody else that's a John Maxwell certified, leadership coach?
Well, I became John Maxwell certified like a year ago. I've been doing this all on my own. I'm known for life coach Laura White because I can't use my name anywhere. So I can't use Laura White, my maiden name, my initials, nothing. It's all taken. So I came up with life coach Laura White. So that's why I'm rated #1 life coach in the whole state of Florida, because of all the reviews I've gotten, all the stuff that I've been doing for 5 years. But you're right, Cheryl. It's like, that's what I'm known for, is everybody knows me as life coach Laura White. But my whole thing that I do is really personal growth, personal development. That's mainly what I'm known for. So I need help. So.
Well, I think I think you might not be able, you're not articulating it right now, but I do think you understand your brand very well. Let me tell you what I think your brand is. Can I?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Cheryl could tell me too.
So you're the growth expert.
Right.
So you can take any person and get them to that next level. It could be a person, it can be an organization. And because you have all this different expertise in relationships and communication, all these are factors that cause a person to grow. And with the DISC, you have a unique ability to analyze someone from a psychological perspective, to understand what their limiting beliefs might be, what their issues might be that are impeding their growth. So
That's
your brand is, you're the growth expert, and you can work with individuals, teams, or organizations and companies. That's who you are. That's Laura. That's life coach Laura White. And not only are you an individual life coach, but you can consult and take companies forward.
right.
So
Sounds like you take
growth
a
is your
yeah.
word.
Sounds like
What?
you take a good peek under the hood and you fine tune the engine. That sounds
Let me
like
ask you.
I say I'm like a doctor. You go in, a medical doctor. You go in, I can spot cancer in a second, just like a doctor can see a little dot and he can say, okay, that looks like cancer to me. I see cancer in people. I see cancer in organizations. I see cancer in school. I can see it in 5 seconds. I can walk in the room and I can see. So can you.
That is true. That is good. That's an eye opener, because that's true. I can look at someone on the way they communicate, whether they're friends,
Yep.
with an organization, a marriage. I can look at someone and use DISC and use all the things that I've been doing for 10 years
Yeah.
on people. So I think it's growth. Cheryl, what's your feedback?
I agree totally with Lisa as far as being a growth expert. I think that's great. One of the things I say is I build people and the businesses. I advance people and the businesses they lead.
Say
So
it one
you
more time.
actually,
Say it one more time so I get it.
my tagline is I advance businesses and the people who grow them. You could be the person, the growth expert that grows people and the businesses they lead.
That's good. Okay. All right.
Let me
So
ask you,
I think she's right about saying that, you know, that helps clarify who you are, other than just a coach or a life coach.
Right.
You're a growth expert.
That is good. So that would be like my tagline,
And
growth expert.
you could steal some of my stuff and Cheryl's stuff. You just can't use it when you're working with us.
Okay.
Laura, let me ask you, what is the main challenge that you consider you
Just
have? Is it
she's results. I'm transformation.
the client
Say that again.
acquisition? Is
And
it,
Millie, what are you, Millie? You're
I'm a health and wellness expert.
there you go. Wellness expert. There you go.
Okay, Javier, hold on. Go, say what you're going to say. I didn't hear you.
no, I'm trying to understand what is the main challenge? Just because, I mean, you got to kind of identify and break it out. Is the client acquisition the challenge? Is it an operational issue, meaning you don't have a system to plug in the clients and train them? Or what is the main challenge that you currently have?
Well, it's because I do all the life coach, the personal development leadership is trying to narrow it down to a name or tagline or whatever. What I do have one program that I'm making right now that I've been using. It's called Belong. And each letter, and I don't want to use that as an acronym to use for my following, but each one stands for, you know, letting go, believing yourself, being aware.
Okay, take a pause a minute, Laura. Pause right there. Javier, will you define what you just said? Because I don't think people know what you said. Explain what you mean by client acquisition. Tell us what those two things are.
So, so when we try to grow a business, I mean, there are certain things that we have to kind of manage, right? One is how I acquire clients. And you acquire clients by developing a marketing strategy, meaning how you promote yourself, how people see you and identify you in LinkedIn or Facebook or any other avenues, and how you onboard clients? How do you convince them that you are unique, that you can resolve their problem? So I'm trying to identify if it is, and understand if it is a marketing issue, meaning there is not a message that clients will say and feel related to what you offer, or if it's more around, I'm not able to target the people that I'm planning to target. Because let's remember, we need to identify and define what clients we want to target. Some will be able to afford our services and some will not. So I'm trying is to understand a little bit more of if it is on that side, or where is the specific issue.
Yeah. People that come to me, the first thing they do when they call me is they say, I need a life coach. I'm stuck in life. That's their biggest thing. They come to me. So, but I don't want to use stuck because it's, the coach, the person who helps people get unstuck. But what I do mostly is really help people grow in their mind, grow in their mindset, grow in their faith, grow in who they are, growing to help them.
Well, where are you getting your clients?
I want to jump in real quick, Laura, because I like what Javier said. I think he's got a really good point in trying to pinpoint the issue. Like, I don't think it's a matter of like what type of life coach you are. I think what he's trying to get you to hone in, and it's similar to, remember when you and I had a conversation about branding a long time ago and how your website really needed to hone in on what it was that you were branding yourself as, and needed to be cohesive so that when everybody came to your website, they immediately knew not only what services you offer, and you scale back on some of those services yourself because you're like, I don't want to keep taking on relationships. I don't want to take on wellness. It's too much. And then we address the aesthetic part of the website. Now apply those principles to customer acquisition, and even attaining some of those customers, and then growing your business, either not just from those referrals, but like what I hear Javier saying, and Javier, please correct me if I'm wrong and jump in, is there seems to be either a disconnect or a challenge in the process, whether it's acquiring the customers or grabbing the right market. Just because people come to you, Laura, because they're stuck, that may not be the right customer you should be targeting. And they might have heard about you. They might have come to a lunch and learn. But like, for example, we've talked a little bit about casting your nets on the other side. Have you, and the thought about you going and doing lunch and learns at the corporate level and have corporations hire you to come in and train a class of like 90 to 150 people. And then the corporation pays you $10,000 or whatever the price point may be. What is your challenge? Because I think we all understand that you're a great life coach and we know what your services offer. But in terms of growing your business and your branding, in terms of how you acquire your customers, what is your biggest challenge in that part?
I hope I'm going to answer this. I'm tired of getting Google, because a lot of my clients come from Google and they just don't have any money. So,
Okay.
That's my challenge. They come like, I can't afford you. I can't. And I know, believe me, I've been in sales for 25 years.
That's all of us.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Hold on, but I know I've been in sales long enough to know that, I don't have that. I'm like, listen, if you're in trouble and you want to grow, you're going to mortgage your house, whatever. I mean, that's what I believe. But my biggest thing is I'm just entertaining the wrong clientele. I really am. And I'm kind of like, some of the stuff that I was doing for so many years is almost like a counselor. I'm tired of dealing with people like, oh, my mindset and this and that. And I'm like, oh, and they don't do the homework. And I'm like, I am so done with you. I'm ready to leave, So I'm like, okay. So my dilemma is in this, do I go more toward leadership? Because let's face it, if I'm helping people with leadership development, everybody has to deal with themselves. In order to be the leader, you go into corporations and you're going to get someone like, well, I'm really having trouble with my marriage. And we know they're expert in their field because they're bringing all their home life into their business. So I still would do a lot of that stuff.
Well, I tell you, White, let me interject something here. This is something, those of us who have a call in ministry on our lives, this is where we run into issues because we have not been trained in how to separate our ministry aspect from the business aspect. And this is a challenge for all of us. So that's something that we can continue to encourage one another in. I mean, you know, I think that the business part is they are going to be growing financially because of the work that you do with them. So you're adding value to them, or they're whatever those areas are that they're going to be growing. So what value is that worth? You know, and that's the reason why a lot of times when you're doing life coaching, and because you're doing it from a biblical perspective, sometimes that is going to be confusing. So that's something we have to work through. That's not something you're going to solve right now, because that's ongoing life. That's ongoing life stuff. I mean, we all run across people who we want to help, we want to support, and yet the business opportunities, they're looking at it as a ministry, just like with Business Network City Life. I mean, there's one girl in our group that she came and said she wants to have a mastermind, and she started describing everything she wanted in a mastermind. Mind you, she only came to 2 classes and she's never been on Zoom, but she wanted a mastermind, and she listed every single thing in the mastermind that is basically building her entire business. And I said, well, listen, those of us have gone through school. We actually went through school for this. Some of us we got certified. We joined so now you want me to, in the ministry, build a team and build your business for you. So this is what we're going to run across. But yet they're not investing anything on their part, not even attending of the group, So this is a ongoing issue. But for right now, the value for you for tonight in this mastermind, I think the focus is what Javier said. How are we going to help Life Coach Laura White get more clients that are paid clients and companies? That's really what we're trying to figure out tonight. And one is solidifying and clarifying your brand, which is the growth expert. Okay, trying not to convolute, because quite honestly, you're not going to necessarily tell anybody what you're giving them until you find out what their needs are.
That's
and
true.
You're going to tailor it, right? So you
Right.
can do a lot of different things.
Them personally, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to present, and that was what was great about the JMT website stuff, because they had it so vague.
Yeah.
Mastermind, speaking, and all of that, and I used that for my website because I didn't need to reinvent the wheel on that. When you go to Educator Circle and you scroll down, look at my blocks. Those are JMT driven items, because you can't come up with anything better than that.
I have a recommendation, Laura.
Yes.
Since you're gonna be starting LinkedIn or targeting LinkedIn,
Right.
I mean, you gotta follow the money, right? So one is follow executives, so high executives profile. So anybody with a chief type of or VP type of, if you want to focus on only ladies, then just target only ladies that are growing. Because remember, a director will move to a VP, and a VP will move to maybe a chief or something. Those people are growing. So if your message is around growth, maybe focus it on growth in your career or growth in something, right? You gotta tie it to something that is tangible, that somebody's going to make an investment because they're going to get a return on it, right? Many people, you're right, many people will say, I'm going to spend X amount of dollars on something to fix my life, but the reality is many people will not. So you gotta tie to, I'm gonna invest in this because my salary is gonna go up. Now maybe I'm gonna become a shareholder of my company or XYZ. So tie to something that is tangible. And define your message. I mean, you have tons of years of experience, as you mentioned, in sales. Just put all that together with the growth strategy And I think if you target that community and you don't waste time with the Google or people that find you and maybe don't have a job, or maybe that, they're home moms or all the stuff. I mean, not saying that you don't want to support that people, but at the end of the day, you're selling a product that, you're trying to generate some revenue to build your business. So that's kind of my recommendation.
That's good. Thank you.
That is really good, Javier. And Laura, piggyback on what Javier said. Have you ever approached executives and try to sell yourself, like asking them what are the number one issues that their employees struggle with, and having them hire you on to be the life coach to their employees to try to solve like communication within the company? A lot of companies are struggling with a toxic environment, whether it's gossip, whether it's rebellion, whatever it is that their employees, they've developed a culture that's become toxic. A lot of executives will hire a coach to come on for a few days in a week. They will do full day classes. I've been a part of classes like that. Our company used to take us out to team builders, and they would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars sending us to this crazy boot camp style. I forget what they were called. It was a rapport. They would send us to a camp in the middle of nowhere in Las Vegas. And this was at the executive level. You had to be a certain level and above to attend this communications camp, where they would treat you like you were in a military boot camp exercise to get you to fix your communication style so that they would have more productive, more committed, and less stressed employees. You got to start thinking bigger. And what Javier said is absolutely on point. Chase those people that are the CEOs, the chiefs, the executives, and ask them, what can I help solve for your company? Not for them personally. You can ask them personal questions. You can try to get them, but a large majority of corporation business executives have some sort of issue, and most of the time it's communication within their employees. And that's where your money is going to be, Laura.
I think so, because I do have the DISC certification, and that would go along with that, because see, this is what I needed. This was perfect, because I'm tired of dealing with all that, the people that just don't have the mindset. I mean, they're constantly can you help me? I just don't believe in myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, get over it. I'm beyond that. I need to work with
I'll
executives.
tell you what to do for that, guys. We have to do it because we're called to be ministers. So what we do is we have a couple times a year when we get those folks say, yes, you can join. I'm going to do group coaching and I'm going to do X. Here's the date. You can get on my Zoom, and then you give a period of time to that and just group people together. And like Cheryl does her stuff. She only charges $10 for things like that. Presentation skills. That's a perfect thing that Cheryl does. She has a platform and everybody can afford that. And if they're not going to come to her presentation skills and they're not going to do that, well then guess what, sister? Then you're or brother. You know what I mean? So all of us have to come up with different scales so that we can be who God's called us to be and have those opportunities. We don't want to refuse folks.
Right.
And
I know we're over time, but I have one last quick question. Because I'm rated, and it has nothing to do with me, it's just the work that I did. Because of my reviews, because of my posts, because of all that stuff, Google has me down for life coach being the #1 life coach. That's my name, Life Coach Laura White. But I could put growth expert at the bottom. Do I leave Life Coach Laura White, or should I change everything? That's my branding.
Yes, that is a gift that you worked long and hard for. Absolutely, leave that alone.
And then put growth. Okay, it says life and leadership coach Laura White. So lead the life and leadership coach, but at the bottom put growth expert.
Yeah, because that's your title. Think of it this way. That's just your title. But then underneath that, it's your opportunity, like similar to a resume. In your resume, you have your objective line, your one-liner that grasps that company to take a look and read all your credentials. So you're going to want to have a one-liner below your title and your name, life and leadership coach Laura White, expert in growth, executive coaching, corporate coaching, communication coaching. You want to go through what your experience is, and then below your one catch line where you highlight what you want to attract people by, put your bait in that one liner, then you add all your credentials below that if you really need to, or if you want to. I would think of it similar to a resume, the way as resume tiers. You have your name with your title, your current title, or your whatever. If you have your education, like Dr. Lisa would be Dr. Lisa Helton. You don't want to take that away. That's your title, you know, and then just tier it down just like you would a resume.
Hey, Laura, can I ask you a very quick question?
Sure.
Do you have minimum metrics that you have when you're qualifying somebody for life coaching? And I mean, or do you spend maybe 5 out of the 10 people that you talk to, do they qualify, you know, what's the ratio for a good client that qualifies for your coaching that's going to go a long way?
A good one is that's going to pay for my package. It's 3 months, working with me for 3 months. And that's my ideal client. I mean, I have longer programs and I have masterminds and group coaching and all that stuff, but my program is for 3 months. And
But
so,
okay, so like out of 10 people, how many people, I mean, do you have to talk to all these, I mean, how many people out of 10 will it actually turn out to be a 3-month contract?
yeah, it's not a very good ratio. Will I get everybody that will pay me? Because the mentality of the Google leads that I'm getting, they're paying the exact same amount, but they have to go, okay, well then if you're going to work with me, then you have to pay for a month up front. And so I always get them to pay up front. You see, it's just the mentality of the people that I'm getting. And I'm thinking, I just need to get away from this crowd. I need to get away.
Yeah, and I think that's what Mildred is focused. I mean, if you're focusing on, you know, a couple of key words that might attract executives or attract, you know, maybe somebody that's a sports executive or something, and you can hone in on a tighter audience. I don't know.
No, but you're good. That's right, Mark, because what I need to do is when they go to my website, they're seeing things that I need to take off that I haven't changed in 6 months. And because I used to do teen and relationships, I'm not doing that. I'll do marriages, but I'm not doing relationships anymore. But
Gotcha.
Well, and
Laura,
go ahead,
go
Cheryl.
ahead. No, it's me. I was going to say, Laura, my previous company hired a coach to come on that was a certified trained person to come on site and do the disc profile for an entire department. The entire department, they took in classes of 30 to 40 people per day. And this coach was on site for several weeks. And then they worked with us. I mean, they were probably on with us for a good 6 weeks, because after they did all the assessments, then they brought us back into the classroom to start teaching us how to read our report, because the report is an extensive report, and how to compare our communication styles with so-and-so and how to work together. I mean, it was a really extensive and expensive training that we went through, and it was all disc.
right. And that's what
And so what we would do to target those companies, and this is what, and we could work on this together actually, because there's several of us doing the same thing. So we would go to referenceusa.com, we'd go over to the library when we're allowed in, and get on there. It's a $4,000 membership. So that's why people go over to the library and put referenceusa.com, and we would target an area. And what you would look at, if we're looking at what Millie's model here, what she's suggesting, which is what we're, you know, for me, I've been targeting schools. So I haven't need to do that. But if I'm targeting companies, then I'd say, okay, I'm going to focus on Hillsborough County, and I'm going to go get referenceusa.com. Anybody who has more than 50 employees and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they'll print that stuff out, and they have the executive's name, the contact information, and all of that. Yeah. And just the issue at this point is, you know, sit and think and pray on this, who you want your target market to be. And then I'll show you how to get that when the libraries open up.
Right.
Oh my gosh, Laura, I just had a great idea. With everybody going back to work from COVID-19, you can offer your services to help people cope, people that are struggling with fear, and having the companies are going to have a ton of employees that are not going to want to leave their house. I am talking to people all over the place. People are paralyzed in their homes. We spoke with a lady yesterday that her neighbor won't even go to the mailbox to pick up her mail without gloves on and without laying plastic down in her garage to lay the mail down for 3 days before she touches it. We're dealing with people who are not saved, who don't know Christ, who are gripped by fear, paralyzed by fear. They are stuck to their news media 24/7, listening to all the commercials. So you have a different approach. You can take this and what the enemy meant for evil, turn it around for your business, turn it around for good, and offer your services on how to help the employees normalize and how to cope with their emotions and how the management team can help communicate with their employees about what the new normal looks like. Like, you can use this to your advantage.
I know. I mean, I've already been doing one on that to help women in my community that I have to help with that. I just feel bad that you guys, we went way over, but it really, really, really helpful. And I really appreciate all the input.
Just one more thing.
This was really good though.
One more thing though, Laura, before we finish, just remember, before we get into the mode when you're approaching these companies, remember to set up and ask questions, not start giving your resume. So you want to find out their needs and come up with a relationship building and a way to get into communication with them right off the bat so that you can ask the types of questions to allow you to understand where their pain points are.
Right.
Then later on, you're going to come in and say, I think I can help you. I'm going to offer you blah, blah, blah. Right. But don't come in and say, I can do disc, I can do blah, blah, blah. That's not what you're going to do. You're going to, these issues that Millie just brought up are going to get their attention. So you're going to start with your attention grabbers, and that's good. And then you get into the pain points. What are you all dealing with right now? Or you can say, I'm working with a lot of people who are dealing with this. Are you seeing the same trend in your company? Well, let me tell you what I'm helping. And then later on, you can say, yeah, this is what I've been helping others with. Would this be something you might be interested in? Would this be, if I did this for you, would this be, or how would you phrase it, Cheryl? Yeah, I think what we could start on May 15th, and this is what we can do for you, blah, blah, blah. Something like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, one last thing. I think you should, well, you said you've been in sales, so but focus on the what and the how and the why. If you haven't read Simon Sinek, I believe that's, he kind of lays down a good plan. And I think if you do that, you'll be pretty successful, specifically with this target group that you're trying to target, because it's the same target group that I target.
All right.
Yes.
If it were me, I would be calling the HR department and I would be saying, let me help you. I know you're in the weeds, and let me come in and do an upbeat, positive message to help your people focus on de-stressing from change and handling change well, and then do your thing. And don't cram yourself down anybody's throat. Attract. They will then be attracted to your message. And when people are attracted to your message, dollar amounts aren't an issue.
Right. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That's really good.
I'm glad you got this recorded because I couldn't take all the notes. So
exactly. Okay, let me stop, guys.